September 29th, 2025. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Do you believe it is Monday? I mean, somebody swiped the weekend from us, and I'm a little upset with them. But the good news is, for those of you who like fall, you got a nice week coming up. We're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234. Mix of sun and clouds this morning. Then clouds build a little bit more later in the day, highs around 80. So today's my day, but meteorologist Mike Favetta says as we come through the week, it's going to be Pam, our director's day.
It is, and it coincides nicely with the calendar, Ken. Good morning, because you
October.
look and you say, wow, Wednesday, it's already October, and yet we may have our first frost advisories across northern parts of New Jersey by the end of the week. The chill will be in the air. Not so much right now. It's 70. Waking up this morning in Long Branch, a pretty mild start to the day, even 70 for you in Camden, a touch cooler there in the hills of northern New Jersey, running a little bit drier as well there in Sussex and Warren County, but down the shore, it feels a little more muggy as opposed to, what felt like a summer afternoon yesterday. It was very, very warm. Kind of felt weird going for the shopping for the fall decorations in the garden stores and like sweating like you're at the beach thinking, should have gone to the beach today. And yet here we are, another afternoon in the 80s across New Jersey with the dew points or the humidity that's relatively, humid. Have a few clouds around right now that are working their way across New Jersey, made for a gorgeous sunrise. If you missed that pink, beautiful sunrise around 6:30, I think you'll see it again tomorrow, because with a little bit of a northeasterly wind today, it keeps the clouds around, especially in southern New Jersey. Northern New Jersey will likely stay mostly sunny, but it's the warm up that'll be impressive, with highs going well into the 80s across most of the state. Then throughout the day tomorrow, we get a gustier breeze from the north, and there's that drier air on Wednesday, pushing out all of the humidity and bringing in a very dry feel. So we start off this morning mild, turn into the 80s by this afternoon from Flemington, Newark, and Hackensack. 81 degrees for you by later today, and then you see some showers and clouds work their way through southern New Jersey. You really have to find yourself south of 195 to tap into all of that wet weather, and even still, it'll be very light. But look what happens by Wednesday morning. 37 degrees in Sussex, 48 in Hackensack. That will feel chilly, and even in the afternoon, only making it up into the low 60s. That's a little bit cooler than average by Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Thursday morning, chillier still. Wednesday night is cool, and then Thursday morning starts off at 34 degrees. There's our potential frost advisory. 35 on the green in Morristown and 38 in Flemington, even at the shore. 40s and 50s. So some cool weather coming just in time for the new month, and it'll bring with it that very fall feel that lasts into the weekends. And then what do you know? We warm up again. So it's a little like brief summer respite, right back to the cooler weather for Wednesday and Thursday, and then we warm up again for the upcoming weekend. We'll give you all the details and let you know how there really is not much rain in the forecast, so it stays pretty dry around here. Those details coming up, Ken, with your complete weather update in a few minutes.
Did we at least get a little rain to help things the other day? Or, I mean, does that help us at all?
Had that little bit of rain over the weekend,
Uh,
but again, that was minimal, amounted to less than a tenth of an inch across most of the state.
so we need rain. So let's not complain to Mother Nature if it rains, right? Say, bring it, bring it. All right, Mike. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. It is 63 degrees on your Monday morning in northern New Jersey, 66 in Trenton, or as we like to say, Trenton. If you go down to Vineland, it is 64 degrees. In terms of traffic, we do have some. Take a look at 287 right now. There is a crash reported on 287 southbound. It's hard to tell with the video there, but yeah, it's there. Southbound, south of exit 39. And that is, let's see, that is by Route 10 in Hanover Township. Two left lanes are closed of of the 5 lanes, so that's causing issues. We also have an overturned tractor trailer. Pam was just telling me about this one. This is on I-80 westbound east of exit 28, which is Route 46 in Roxbury Township. 2 left lanes closed there. We have delays on Route 4 eastbound from west of River Road to east of Queens Anne Road and Teaneck. All lanes are open, but it's very heavy through there right now. As you make your way to the Hudson River, the crossings are about 20 minutes at the Holland Tunnel. Much better this week. Even though the UN is still technically in session, it's sort of residuals, the secondary stuff. So a lot of the important world leaders have gone home, but the UN is still trafficky. If you can avoid Manhattan for the next few days, you may do so, please. If you can't, you can go in, but just avoid the Upper East Side at all costs right now. So making your way to the Hudson River crossings, it's 20 minutes at the Holland, 30 still at the Lincoln. We look at the upper and lower levels to the GWB. Ugly. Dead stopped. And they're not saying that there's something specific causing it. So that just tells me it is volume. And let's see, I'm scrolling. It says lower level, all lanes are open, but travel time is 40 minutes. I bet you it's longer than that. It doesn't look like it's moving at all. So I'm me guessing it's about 50 minutes. That's ugly. And that's the same. It's just a close up of the same location we show you every day at this time. But if it's not moving at all, that's a bad thing. So they may update this and tell me there's something going on in the mid span. But for now, it's just volume causing all that mess. So lots of extra travel time and pack your patience. 7:06 is our time. And a defense of her military record. That's what we heard Saturday from Democratic gubernatorial nominee Mikey Sherrill, as a cheating scandal that rocked the U.S. Naval Academy 30 years ago has now become an issue in the Garden State's race for governor. And now there's a new development involving Sherrill's husband. Democrats and military veterans continue to sharply criticize the Trump administration for improperly releasing Sherrill's military files to an ally of opponent Jack Ciattarelli. Though the release was obtained using the Freedom of Information Act. It's not that releasing some military files is illegal per se. It's how detailed the release is. You're supposed to redact a lot of the information. Apparently that was not done. So that is what is most in argument right now. So her social security number and personal address were made public. I'm sure if it was you, I know if it's me, we would be very upset with that too. In fact, I'm sure even people on the hardcore right were not looking for that, but nonetheless, it was released. Sherrill's husband, Jason Hedberg, may also have been involved in the cheating scandal when hundreds of cadets allegedly got their hands on answers to final exams before taking those exams. Sherrill was never implicated in the cheating herself. I want to emphasize that. No one has ever said that she cheated, but she was not included in the official program or graduation ceremony, allegedly because she did not turn in people who she knew may have cheated. That's the issue. I spoke to a cadet, a former graduate of the Naval Academy, or a graduate, I should say, not a former graduate, a former attender. And he said, you're not obliged under the military code to turn in somebody, but you should go to them and try to urge them to turn themselves in. Nonetheless, her husband was one of nearly 50 midshipmen who sued the Academy to block an honor board from deciding on their dismissal in connection with the scandal. Hedberg's name, that's her husband, was included in the commencement program. Many have said that Sherrill's military record became fair game, though, once she made it the main focus of her campaign, both for Congress 5 years ago and again for governor now, even starting her actual commercials showing her serving as a naval helicopter pilot. The most recent two polls have the two candidates tied, or Republican Jack Ciattarelli leading by a point in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans by 860,000 votes. 7:08 right now. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he is dropping out of the race for mayor of New York, saying his past federal corruption case ruined his chances of mounting an effective re-election campaign.
And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope that over time, New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership, and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
Now, Adams said that it was an honor to serve as mayor. He recapped his successes during his term. His departure may translate to a better chance of defeating Zoran Mamdani, by either Republican Curtis Sliwa or Independent Andrew Cuomo. We'll see what happens. 7:09, one person killed, 10 others hurt. That number actually came up to, I did not update in the story, but it's now 4 killed, 8 others hurt after a gunman rammed his car into a Mormon church in Michigan during a service attended by hundreds before opening fire on the churchgoers. The shooting broke out at the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, about 50 miles north of Detroit yesterday. It's in the Flint, Michigan area. The suspected gunman was a 40-year-old man who rammed his car through the front doors of the church. They say that he was apparently a veteran of the Iraq War and may have had PTSD. He then set fire to the building. He was shot dead by responding police. It is not yet known if there were any other victims, as the fire burned wildly through that structure. It is a disaster there right now. About 100 FBI agents have been assigned to the investigation, saying this appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in America, though it now looks more like the gunman may have specifically targeted not Christians in general, but the Latter-day Saints or Mormon Church. It's known as the Church of Latter-day Saints. 7:10, officials need the public's help in identifying the remains of a person found in a wooded area in Hamilton Township. New Jersey state troopers found the human remains last month near Tuckahoe Road after being alerted back on August 28th. It looks like the remains were of a Caucasian woman, 50 to 70 years of age. She was about 5'4", and she was wearing a red T-shirt and hospital gown. Anyone with information should call police. 7:11 now, and a man was convicted in the 2023 assault of his former girlfriend in her home. Officials say the 25-year-old man, Jason Blount of Newark, threatened to kill the woman after restraining her at her Glen Ridge apartment. He was convicted of unlawful possession of a weapon, criminal restraint, and other charges, and could get 5 years in prison at his October sentencing. 3 people were killed, 5 others hurt when a man in a boat sailed up to a waterfront restaurant in South Carolina and opened fire Saturday night. The shooting occurred at the American Fish Company in Southport. The gunman, whom police identify as 40-year-old Nigel Edge, was believed to have acted alone. Witnesses say that he rode up on the Cape Fear River before pausing outside the restaurant and opening fire. Investigators later searched Edge's home and say they found several other firearms. No word on why he may have done this, but police say Edge may have also been a military veteran. That's 2. It is 7:12 now, and the Trump administration is warning migrant sponsors to take financial responsibility for them or expect to be slapped with steep fines, lawsuits, or even prosecution, according to a U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services memo. The announcement marks the latest policy crackdown by the Trump administration. Most family-based immigrants are required to be sponsored by a citizen or lawful permanent resident when applying for a green card. Problem is, sometimes the person comes in, they come in legally through that process, then they don't have the financial means, and then they end up relying on the government, which they could legally apply for aid at that point. But the whole point is that implies or suggests that they weren't fully forthright in their application. So now the president's saying, if that person you sponsor comes in and doesn't have the financial wherewithal or the job that they said they had, then you have to pay up. You can't rely on them because you signed for them, so it's now your responsibility. Under the Biden administration, they just let it slide. No more letting it slide now, especially at a time when we have the financial debts that we have. So if you want to come here legally to the United States, you have to have a sponsor in most cases, not all, but in most cases. You have to have somebody who's willing to back you so that if you don't have a job, they will support you until you can get a job. But what's been happening more and more often is people come here legally and then they lose their job or they don't get the job they thought they'd get and they go on public support. And if you're going to come here, you know, we have a choice. It's our choice to allow you to come in. It's not a right on your part. So we're not going to take in people who are going to be a burden on the system. It's as simple as that. 7:14 right now, 65 degrees, a mix of clouds and sun this morning. Then clouds build a bit more later in the day. Highs about 80. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Clouds and sun this morning, then clouds build a little bit more later in the day. Warm, though, highs about 80. That's not going to last through the week, though. We go straight to meteorologist Mike Pavetta with the Garden State forecast. The laugh's on me, Mike.
It's going to get really chilly in about 2 days. So enjoy the sun, enjoy the warmth, because this is like summer's, well, I would say it's almost like a false start. Because once we get to the weekend, we're back in the 80s. It feels warm into Sunday and Monday of next week. So a little bit of a refreshing pause, if you will, with temperatures today that are, again, warm. It'll still feel like summer's around, especially with that humidity there, some haze out toward Point Pleasant, and temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s even. Little touch of fog down the shore with some drizzle likely by this evening. Visibility right now improving across the northwestern corner of the state. So there are those clouds working their way northward. Very high, very thin, made for a really pretty sunrise. And we're running clear through the rest of the day. This is the next tropical system, which is being steered out to sea by Umberto. We'll talk more about that. Could have made a run for the coast, but instead missing the U.S. entirely. A nice change to the forecast as it basically stops and takes a right turn. Again, the track coming up in just a bit. As far as our forecast for today, we stay dry across northern New Jersey, a little more humidity felt down the shore with that northeasterly breeze. And then the wind really gets going from the north, drying us out entirely, allowing for that crisp fall feel to return. Look at that shade of red that pops up there. That's really dry weather that takes over into Wednesday night, and especially for Thursday, making it feel like fall is here. Again, briefly, because when you see the 7-day, you'll see how warm it gets, especially with the dry, sunny weather taking us into Friday and the weekend. Lots of sunshine around. It's ideal fall festivities weather for Saturday and even for Sunday. Very dry, very pleasant. Lots of great weather to enjoy. Then the temperature starts going up into Monday and Tuesday, back in the low 80s. And we're dry through much of next week, too. So there's a persistent stretch of that pleasant weather into the first week of October. Temperatures on Saturday, 75, climbing to 78 on Sunday, but it might even feel warmer, especially with all that sunshine around. We've got the details on the tropics and what's been going on there, because a lot of changes over the weekend, Ken, and how it influences our weather here in New Jersey this week. That's coming up.
There you go. Yeah. So now those two storms look, I mean, I know models are only models, right? They don't mean
Yeah.
anything definitively. So everybody should still keep an eye, right? But the way it's looking, it looks like they're apostrophes, right? They're kind of going
Yes.
like that.
Right. And
Thank
around
God.
Bermuda, which is another miracle considering how
Thank
large
God.
Umberto is. Yep.
Yeah. So the two of them made love. What do they call that? There's that term. That's like a Japanese term,
Yes.
right? I don't
It
mean to put you
is
on the
the
spot.
Fujiwara effect.
I had to say that on WOR radio on Friday, and I
Oh, no.
totally butchered it. I totally butchered it. Our meteorologist over there, who's a sweetheart, you probably know him, the meteorologist at WOR radio, and he kind of giggled as I was like, the fu, and he just said, "You mean the Fujiwara, whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's it, what you said." Anyway,
It's one of those
I love
terms you
it.
use like once every 5 years, so I don't blame you. Yeah, it's very rare.
Like solar vortex. All right, Mike. I appreciate it, my friend. We'll check back, but thank God it's going in another direction. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we never know until the very end. Keep an eye on it. Appreciate it, Mike. And in terms of traffic right now, we should let you know it's 63 degrees northern New Jersey and 64 down in Trenton. Um, I say that because my mother-in-law is from Trenton, and she always used to say Trenton. So forgive me. I'm not making fun of Trenton, please. I have tons of relatives who were from there, my cousins. We have a crash reported on Route 4 now, eastbound, east of Route 93 Grand Avenue in Englewood, 2 lanes closed. And I know that our Pam found something on I-80, an overturned tractor trailer westbound east of exit 28. That's causing these residual delays right here. I think, Pam, you said that's by 206 right now that we're looking at. So, yeah, so that's causing this. That's in that vicinity. So this is in Roxbury, or you're entering Roxbury. They're heading right into it. So the 2 left lanes of the 3 lanes closed. You can see them hitting their brakes. as they're going in. So it looks like just after they go over that little hill, that's where they're going to hit that issue. So 2 of the 3 lanes are closed. We have a crash on 287 southbound, south of exit 39, which is Route 10 in Hanover. 2 left lanes of the 5 lanes closed. And we also have, a delay on the Turnpike Express lanes northbound from exit 71, Route 4, Broad Avenue in Leonia. And I think that's because of the crash that's on Route 4 proper. People trying to get off from the Turnpike to Route 4, where there's the crash, that's causing delays right now. The Hudson River crossings now, the Lincoln Tunnel is reporting 30 minutes across. It's 20 to 25 at the Holland. And we have a mess at the upper and lower levels of the GWB. Look at that ugliness right there. That's really bad. I think, a lot of people think that the UN General Assembly is entirely over. It's not. The big people, the important world leader types have gone home, but the ambassadors are still in town. And remember, they still close intersections randomly for certain ambassadors, depending on what country they're from. That's what causes all this. So, when they shut down an intersection, they could shut it down for 15, 20 minutes until there's a crossing of an ambassador, and then they open it again. So not a good thing. That's why you should avoid Manhattan by vehicle if you can. Certainly try to take mass transit or work from home if you can for the next few days until Friday, and definitely avoid the Upper East Side at all costs. 7:21 is our time right now. A day after Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill announced her candidacy to run for governor, she shared details about herself on X, formerly Twitter. One of her posts appeared to highlight her past military service and that of her grandfather, but it didn't turn out to be such a good idea. See, it seems that Sherrill, who is a Naval Academy graduate and a 9-year veteran Navy helicopter pilot, misidentified a Cold War era bomber as being in service during the Second World War. Turns out it didn't come into service, the B-52, until 7 years after World War II ended. Sherrill was among the first flight school graduates of women from the Naval Academy to be eligible for direct assignment to fly combat aircraft. She never did actually fly in combat, but that's not on her. That's on the military. She said what inspired her to fly was hearing her grandpa talk to her about flying B-52 bombers for the U.S. Army Air Force during World War II. But that couldn't have happened. So either he lied or she made a mistake. But you'd think that she or her people would have double-checked that before that tweet went out. In her X caption, Sherrill wrote, quote, "My grandfather Bill was a B-52 bomber pilot in World War II and flew missions over occupied France. He was shot down and rescued by the Free French. After hearing his stories as a kid, it became my dream to fly just like him." Again, problem was the B-52 did not come into use in the U.S. military until 7 years after World War II ended. So again, did she make a mistake? Did she confuse the B-52 with another bomber like the B-25, which did exist in World War II? That's very possible. But when you're a naval pilot and an expert in aircraft and you graduate the academy and you spent 9 years, you would think you know the difference between a B-52 and a B-25. I was never in the military, and I'm a kind of an aviation geek. I do know the difference. I have flown on a B-52, by the way, a Stratofortress, because I covered many a story on it. I didn't fly with the bravery that, and I do mean bravery, that Mikey Sherrill or her husband, they both joined the military. They did so voluntarily. So I give them credit for that. So this is sort of nitpicky, but just where is the oversight by whoever's managing Mikey Sherrill? So you would think somebody with 9 years of experience in the Navy Air Corps, if you will, that she would know that. So, but nonetheless, now that's another issue that comes up. And one could suggest that Sherrill was trying to inflate her grandfather's status because the Stratofortress is iconic. But add that to the other things she allegedly did, like not being forthcoming about keeping her classmates cheating from Naval Academy officials and not being forthcoming in an interview with iHeartRadio's Charlemagne the God, in which he questioned Sherrill about her financial success during her time in Congress. She allegedly made $7 million in stock trades she earned. And when questioned about it, she goes, maybe, I'm not really sure. I don't really know. In fact, do we have the soundbite by any chance? All right, let's take a listen to the interview with Charlemagne the God.
So when Newsmax claims that you made $7 million from stock trades, what are they talking about?
Newsmax is, first of all, a very questionable organization that is paying multiple fines. I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Well, did you make $7 million in stock trades at all? Or?
I haven't. I don't believe I did, but I'd have to go see what that was alluding to again, what kind of came from.
All right. So you look at that. If you're me, I mean, I feel icky from that response. It's uncomfortable. She not only apparently made 7 million, according to the reports, $7 million in stock trades, but that number skyrocketed to as high as nearly 14 million that she in total acquired wealth. So when she came in 2019, the net worth of her and her husband was about $730,000. That's a lot of money. God bless them. They worked hard for that. From 2019 to 2024, the 730,000 ballooned to 14 million, up to 14 million. It's anywhere from 4 to 14 million, the estimates. It's hard to pin it down. That's even worse. Just come clean if that's the case. What is she doing? Instead, she's demanding that Jack Ciattarelli releases his tax returns. It's like, okay, he's not the one under the microscope right now, Mikey. You are. And that is quite a leap. And if you're the Democrat Party, you're representing the blue collar people, right? And yet you somehow in 5 years made $14 million or close to it, allegedly, and we're from 4 to 14 million, and that's fine. You know what? I would rather vote for somebody who knows how to make money than someone who doesn't. I'm with you. But here's the answer. Somebody like Charlemagne says that. Your answer should be, I don't know the exact number, Charlemagne, but I know we made a lot of money, and we made that money honestly because my husband and I invested in stocks. We didn't steal that money. We made it in stocks. And I could tell you different stock advisors who got us that money. They're the ones who invested the money, but we did so legally. And I'm proud of the fact that we took a little money and made money on it. Every American should be able to do the same thing. That's the answer. The answer is not, I don't know, because it looks like you're guilty of something. And she's not. I mean, she is guilty of not reporting some information that, she then later, she reported it later and then proactively paid the fine. She was supposed to report it earlier. The problem is, this is a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans by 860,000 votes. And right now, she is tied or losing by a point. She has not, in all the polls in the last 5 months, she has not gone up a point. But Jack Ciattarelli has climbed like 10 points in that time, and he's on an upward surge. And it looks like the Cheryl camp, whoever the hell is advising you, fire his ass now. And we know who he is because we've met him, but he sucks. Just saying. Just being fully frank, he sucks. You don't like it? Come on the show and we'll talk about it. It's another thing. Mikey runs to MSNBC to do 100 interviews. She won't do an interview with New Jersey media. Come on to New Jersey media. The people who vote for you are in New Jersey, not in Waukesha. Come on, New Jersey media. We're not going to attack. I want to give you the opportunity like Charlemagne did. Come on and we'll talk because I think you're just being horribly advised. Just saying. We're going to talk, by the way, with John Wisniewski, the former assemblyman who ran for Democratic governor in the primary several years ago. And he's the perfect person to talk about this and quite honestly about it. We have a lot to talk about. 728, New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he's dropping out of the race for mayor in New York, saying his past federal corruption case has ruined his chances of mounting an effective reelection campaign.
And yet, despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my reelection campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope that over time, New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
Well, Adams says it was an honor to serve as mayor and recapped his successes during his term. His departure may translate to a better chance of defeating Zoran Mamdani by either Republican Curtis Sliwa or Independent Andrew Cuomo. And convicted cop killer Joanne Chesimard, who would later change her name to Assata Shakur, she was the godmother of Tupac Shakur, the murdered rapper. She is dead. The Black Liberation Army member who murdered a New Jersey state trooper in 1973 before fleeing to Cuba, where she lived for decades, died in Havana, quote, due to health conditions and advanced age last Thursday. Now, she was charged with a number of crimes in the early 70s, including a bank robbery. Then in 73, she got into a shootout on the Turnpike. during which she fatally shot State Trooper Werner Forster, who was a father and a husband. She was hurt in the incident herself. She was arrested, convicted of murdering Forster, as well as 7 other felony charges. In fact, the person she was with died in that shootout with police. She was sentenced to life in prison, but she escaped from the Clinton Correctional Facility for Women in '79, and she lived underground for a few years and then somehow got into Cuba. She surfaced there in 1984. She was granted political asylum by communist dictator Fidel Castro. The problem is leftists, including the Chicago Teachers Union, have idolized and lionized this woman like she's some kind of a hero. She's a frigging cop killer. Not my opinion, convicted cop killer. Murdered a police officer who was doing his job. And by the way, she was no innocent little altar girl before she killed him. She had a whole bunch of things she had been guilty of. She is not a good person. So for the Chicago Teachers Union to rally behind her like she's some freedom fighter, you are sick. And if you are a citizen, a taxpayer in Chicago, and you are supporting people who are now praising this woman in her life, you are sick. And you don't deserve to be teaching children. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Joanne Chesimard, also known as Assata Shakur, godmother to murdered rapper, as I mentioned, Tupac Shakur, was 78. Tomorrow, we will speak with a retired New Jersey State Police captain who was very familiar with this case. And War Department Secretary Pete Hegseth called up for 60 days, 200 National Guard members to be deployed to Portland, Oregon, a declared sanctuary city. In the past 8 months, the city joined a lawsuit against the Trump administration and issued a zoning violation notice for the Portland ICE facility. So here's a federal building that's been in Portland for decades, and all of a sudden the ultra-leftist communist mayor and lesbian governor come out. The mayor of Portland is this wimpy, emasculated little girly man who talks like this. Sorry, I could speak that way. I'm a gay guy, so deal with me. And he looks like a little emasculated wimp who goes home and gets yelled at by his wife. And then the man woman who is the governor, I could say it, the man woman who's the governor of Oregon, who doesn't know what women's dress is like. She likes to dress like a guy in a guy suit with a guy haircut, real tough bull dyke. They decided that they would play little games with the Portland ICE facility and say that they have violations, code violations. So now President Trump said, okay, if the ICE facility is under attack and it's been legally there for decades, now I'm going to send my military in, you stupid B.I.itch. And that's what he's doing. And yes, this will be a war. This will be a war between the ultra-liberal socialists of Portland and the Trump administration. And you know what? There are people in downtown Portland. I have relatives in Portland. There are people in downtown Portland who are praising the Trump administration because enough is enough. It's become remember, Oregon was the place to first legalize injectable drugs. All drugs became legal. The streets became littered with drug addicts, homeless people. It is a disgusting hole. And just look at the video. This was a few years ago, what you're looking at here. This is outside the ICE facility a few years ago. It's a war zone. President Trump called it a war zone, and they're making it sound like it's not. Oh, it's nothing to see here. Look at that. Does that look like a normal city? Does that happen in your town? Does that happen in Basking Ridge? Does that happen in Scarsdale? I highly doubt so. That doesn't even happen in Trenton or Camden, which are rough cities. This is Portland, Oregon, which used to be a gorgeous city. But yet the liberals turn nice cities into shit because they don't know how to deal. They don't know how to deal. They let whatever was crazy and whatever society looked at in the past as upside down and nuts, liberals embrace as normal and good. They are absolutely mentally unstable. That is what you get. And that's why the Trump administration says, whether you like it or not, you are still an American city in an American state. And if you're putting our federal buildings in danger, which clearly they are right there, then we will send in troops. So for now, 200 troops will go there, and there could be hundreds more on the way. And if I am the dyke governor of Oregon, I would put down my man pants and realize you're going to lose this one, lady man. You're going to lose this one. Give it up and start paying attention to the federal government in this case, because you're not going to win. And the Trump administration has proposed a 21-point Gaza peace plan that calls for all hostages held by Hamas to be released within 48 hours of an agreement and sets out a roadmap for Gaza once the war ends. Trump voiced optimism about resolving the conflict, saying on Friday that they are very close to a deal for Middle East peace, just days after his envoy said a breakthrough is possible. The release of the hostages, about 20 of whom are thought to still be alive, would be in exchange for a phased withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. The plan would deny Hamas any future role in the governance of Gaza. Out you go. The people of Gaza, they're caught in the middle. A lot of them are saying that they support Hamas because if they don't say that, they'll get killed. Instead, now this calls for 2 levels of interim governance in the territory, including having former British Prime Minister Tony Blair as an overseer for the West. The plan does not indicate that the U.S. would support the creation of a Palestinian state, but it does recognize it as an aspiration of the Palestinians. And the Department of Homeland Security announced 2 individuals charged on the horrible crime of opening gunfire on a children's baseball field allowed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. One of the individuals charged is Mustafa Mohammed Matalga, an alien from Jordan who was turned into a U.S. citizen by the Biden administration. You go, Joe Biden. Let's just unvet people, let them in without checking their backgrounds, find out they're terrorists after you make them citizens. Good job there, Joe Biden. You sick man. Probably took millions under the table from people in different organizations. See, the way this scam worked with the Biden family, that they would look the other way while money got funneled through government and the non-government, the NGOs. So let's give millions, hundreds of millions to the NGOs, and then they funnel money into Democrat operatives and Democrat organizations. And that's how Biden got his money. And that's what it appears to be. And that's what's being investigated actively right now, by the way, for those who don't realize. So one of the other individuals we showed you on the screen, Ahmad Mawed, is an alien from Lebanon. He was granted a green card by the Bidens. Police say Ahmad Mawed, Mustafa Mohammed Matalga, and Mahmoud Abdel Salam Rabdallah opened fire during a youth baseball game in Katy, Texas. Isn't that nice? Hitting the coach while he was leading a prayer. Turns out they are anti-Christian Muslims. They hate Christians. Thankfully, the coach survived. He's being released from the hospital. But nice going there, Biden administration. And thousands of runners retraced a fallen New York City firefighters' desperate race to the Twin Towers yesterday to honor the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks and raise over $1 million for survivors and their families. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's 5K run and walk brought 30,000 runners to trace the footsteps of fallen FDNY hero Stephen Siller, who raced to the World Trade Center towers from the Red Hook area from the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, September 11th of 2001. Proceeds from the race helped the 24-year-old foundation provide free homes to fallen first responders' families with young children and build smart homes for injured vets. Thousands of firefighters, police officers, military personnel, and civilians participated in the annual run yesterday. Our own digital strategist, Fisher, also took part, as he has for years, and will join us in just a bit to talk about it. It is now 63 degrees, and we are coming back on New Jersey Mornings in just 30 seconds.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Good morning, 63 degrees, 738. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State Forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a very pretty feel around. And with that, we will stay nice and dry into this afternoon. Warm weather with temperatures climbing into the upper 70s, even hitting the low 80s west of the Parkway. So 82 in Camden, even in Glassboro, 81 degrees. The fall feel is here, even though today will probably feel like the upper 80s in some part of the state. That is far from our average of 73 degrees. Might even come close to that record of 89. So yeah, keeping an eye on just how warm it will feel today and tomorrow. But then we get a nice cool down on the way. That'll be lovely, especially as we head into the first few days of October. Keeping an eye on the tropics because a lot happened over the weekend. This is Umberto, which rapidly strengthened to a Cat 5 storm briefly with its rapid intensification. That's the third storm this season to undergo that rapid intensification. But what's good about it is, one, It's in the middle of the Atlantic, right? So not affecting any land, but it's also helping to steer Imelda away from the U.S. coast, as Imelda will do the Fujiwara effect, as Ken was talking about before, and turn eastward as a result. If Umberto were not in its place, Imelda would probably go right up into the U.S. coastline. So it really played a big pivotal role in how the track helps to steer the storm out. So here's Umberto spinning right, going around Bermuda. There's Bermuda, so not even affecting that island at all, and helping to steer Imelda away. So it bring up Imelda's track, and there it is over the Bahamas, working its way eastward, basically taking a hard right turn once it approaches the southeast coast and working out to sea. This storm down the road into the end of the week may impact Bermuda, and we have pretty big surf as a result here on the New Jersey coastline once we get to Wednesday and Thursday. Granted, it'll be really chilly, not exactly beach weather this Wednesday and Thursday, but look at that shade of red indicating the 10 to 15-foot waves that'll be crashing on the New Jersey coastline. So some pretty big swells at the beaches later on this week. Our forecast, other than that, feels warm until we get to Wednesday morning, because we have a few clouds around, a few sprinkles down the shore today. Have to be south of 195 to even tap into any of that light rain. And then tomorrow's a nice dry day with that northerly breeze pushing through. Dry enough to cool us down into the 30s on Wednesday morning there in Sussex County, warming back into the 60s by the afternoon. And then that high pressure does a great job of keeping us very mild into Tuesday until Imelda spins out to sea. There it goes. And then we look forward to the fall feel by Wednesday, Thursday. That will send temperatures right down into the 40s and 50s overnight, only rebounding into the 60s in the afternoon. So a very classic crisp air, cool feeling on the day on Thursday, not a cloud in the sky. Friday into Saturday sees a fast warm up, and we could be back in the 80s, Ken, for most of next week. It's going to be a gradual climb, feeling quite warm for the first weekend in October.
So I'm putting out in the universe, we're going to be in the 80s through, oops, look at this, I'm knocking the microphone. Going to be in the 80s through March. Okay, so I'm putting it out there. Let's see if it happens. Pam is yelling in my ear right now. No, she wants fall so badly she could taste it. We'll have that for her Wednesday at least, right? Give her a little taste of it. All right. Thank you so much, Mike. It is now our temperature 63 degrees in northern New Jersey, 64 in Trenton, and it is 62 down at Cape May. In terms of traffic, right now we just have some Hudson River crossings to talk about. The Lincoln Tunnel is still 30 to 35 minutes across, 20 minutes of the Holland. The GWB upper and lower level, an absolute mess this morning, just literally stopped. And this is all because we still have gridlock alert days in Manhattan. Even though the majority of the world leaders have gone from the UN General Assembly, they still have the UN General Assembly this week. There are smaller sessions, luncheons, things like that, the stuff that the overpaid, underworked ambassadors take part in. So they're still clogging up Manhattan. So try to avoid driving in if you can. Take mass transit or work from home just until this week is through. And then you're back to just the regular traffic that we have day to day. 742. Military record. That is what we heard Saturday from Democratic gubernatorial nominee Mikey Sherrill, as a cheating scandal that rocked the U.S. Naval Academy 30 years ago has now become an issue in the Garden State's race for governor. And now there's a new development involving Sherrill's husband. Democrats and military veterans continue to sharply criticize the Trump administration for improperly releasing Sherrill's military files to an ally of opponent Jack Ciattarelli, though the release was obtained using the Freedom of Information Act. Most at issue, though, is not that Sherrill's military records were released as much as the fact that her whole file was released and it was not redacted. So they put out her social security number, her personal address, all of that, which should be redacted. That should never have been released. Sherrill's husband, Jason Hedberg, may also have been involved in the cheating scandal when hundreds of cadets allegedly got their hands on answers to final exams before taking those exams. Sherrill was never implicated in cheating herself, but she was not included in the official graduation program or graduation ceremony, allegedly because she did not turn in people who may have cheated that she knew. Her husband was one of nearly 50 midshipmen who sued the Academy to block an honor board from deciding on their dismissal in connection with the scandal. Now, Hedberg's name was included in the commencement program, likely because of the lawsuit. Many have said that Sherrill's military record became fair game once she made it the main focus of her campaign. Her opponents did, and she did, both for Congress and again for governor, even starting her commercials the current commercials that are running showing her serving as a naval helicopter pilot. The most recent 2 polls, by the way, have the 2 candidates tied, or Republican Jack Ciattarelli leading by a point in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans by 860,000 votes. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he is dropping out of the race for mayor of New York, saying his past federal corruption case ruined his chances of mounting an effective re-election campaign. Adams says it was an honor to serve as mayor and recapped his successes during his term. His departure may translate for a better chance of defeating Zoran Mamdani by either Republican Curtis Sliwa or Independent Andrew Cuomo, but it looks like one of the 2 of them may have to drop out in order for that to take place. It is 7:45 right now, 64 degrees. When we come back, we will speak with the Republican candidate for Congress out of the 9th Congressional District of New Jersey, Billy Prempeh. He is going to check in and tell us his take on the whole Jackie scandal involving her military. Mikey, I said Jackie. Mikey. See what I did there? I combined Jack and Mikey. This is the Mikey scandal involving her military record. So that with Billy Prempeh in just a little bit. A mix of clouds and sun this morning. Clouds building a bit more later in the day. Highs around 80. The full Garden State forecast when we return. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 746, and we will take your calls. In fact, we saw some ringing in just a little bit ago. We want to hear from you. 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Feeling very warm today, especially after a hot weekend. It was almost a beach weekend for the last weekend in September. And here we go with another round of 80-degree weather on the way from Hackensack back through Wayne and New Milford, West Milford. It'll feel very pleasant through the end of the day, but our drought remains. We have most of northern New Jersey is abnormally dry with that moderate drought stretching through the northernmost part of the state. Still running dry, even though we had a little bit of rain over the weekend. Wasn't enough to beat that 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit, even that dark shade of red there in western Passaic County, 2 to 4 inches of a rainfall deficit just in the last month alone. Looking ahead through the first half of October, there's a lot of red on this map, and that indicates the above average temperatures we'll be experiencing once we get to the first half of October. So if you think today is warm, think of how abnormally mild it will be going in through the first half of October. And then the dry weather persists with below average chances of precipitation through the first week of October. Our weather looks pretty dry on the 7-day, unless you find yourself down the shore where there might be a few sprinkles later tonight into tomorrow. It's pretty dry going into Wednesday and Thursday as some cooler weather settles in. After another 80-degree day tomorrow, we are holding in the 40s and 50s at night by Thursday morning, climbing only to 70 by Friday afternoon, and then warming back into the upper 70s and even low 80s as soon as next week. So a little bit of a fall feel setting up for the next few days, even down the shore, with the overnight temperatures cooling off into the 50s, afternoon highs, warm back into the low 70s for you, but still a noticeable level of humidity developing as well by next weekend. So even October, starting off cool, but then quickly going back to a taste of summer just in time for Saturday and Sunday. Still looking great though, gorgeous, no big threats of rain on the 7-day. Even though it's rain we could use, there's a lot of dry weather ahead, Ken.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. In terms of traffic, we got some of that going on. 61 degrees down northern New Jersey, 64 in Trenton. We take a look at the New Jersey Turnpike. We have a crash now on the Turnpike in a roadway northbound south of Interchange 12, which is Carteret Rawway in Woodbridge Township. All lanes are open, but there's a vehicle just beyond this camera shot on the shoulder, and that's causing the ugliness that you see in terms of traffic right there. Still have an overturned tractor trailer reported on I-80 westbound east of exit 28, which is Route 46 in Roxbury. Wilkes-Barre with 2 left lanes closed, and a crash on Route 4 eastbound east of Route 93 Grand Avenue in Englewood with 2 of the 3 lanes closed. The right lanes are the ones closed, so stay to the left if you can. We have delays on the Garden State northbound, north of Colonia to exit 137, so it's about a 5-mile delay northbound on the Garden State in that 137 exit area. The passing through the Hudson River right now, Lincoln Tunnel is giving you about 35 minutes. It's 20 at the Holland, and the GWB upper and lower level just a mess. And this is all because of the issues we still have. The UN General Assembly in town. The big world leaders are gone, but we still have the ambassadors in town, and that is causing this mess. Work from home if you can, or take mass transit. Otherwise, certainly avoid the Upper East Side. 7:50 is our time, and Billy Prempeh is a Republican candidate for Congress in New Jersey's 9th Congressional District, which covers Paterson. It's Passaic County. And while the district has traditionally been Democrat, President Trump was the first Republican to win the district in decades. Billy's parents legally immigrated here from Ghana, and Billy came within a few points of winning the House seat held by longtime Democrat Congressman Bill Pascrell, who held that seat for the Democrats for decades until his death last year. Now, Billy hopes to take the seat during next year's midterm elections, and he joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Billy. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Well, nice. We've talked on the radio before. We've never done the TV thing before, so it's nice to have you face to face here. Bill, if we can, let's talk about the gubernatorial race in the state first. You were an Air Force veteran yourself. Is it unusual to have a limited release of somebody's military records if somebody does a Freedom of Information Act request?
It's not unusual. If you're gonna, so first off, the records are not supposed to be released. That's something that should be protected. So this is definitely a failing on the National Personnel Records Center. If any information is to be requested, though, it should be redacted. The personal identifiers should be hidden. I think that that's something that the NPRC needs to deal with, and I think that an investigation needs to be had on that. Despite that, the fact that the information has come out now, it does raise some serious questions about the integrity of Mikey Sherrill.
Yeah, and I think she could put this to rest. I mean, look, I'm not her advisor, but if I'm Mikey Sherrill, here's what I would say. And tell me if I'm wrong. I'd say, okay, there was a cheating scandal at the school. It happened to occur while I was there. I am not accused of cheating. My big sin is I didn't rat out my classmates. And by the way, I'm not obliged to do that. As a result, they slapped me on the hand by not letting me be in the program or graduate, but I still graduated. And I served my country honorably for 9 years. What did my opponent do? That's the way you turn it around. Instead, doesn't she look guilty now by saying, oh, I'm going after them for releasing this information. I want an investigation. Doesn't that kind of compound the problem?
Well, I would agree with you. And considering that I just heard this on the air and I just saw it on Newsbreak literally right after you said it on air. I just saw that her husband is also ensnared in that. Me personally, the way that it sounds like there's a lot more to the story than we've been led on to believe. I've never heard of someone getting in trouble for not ratting anyone out. I mean, if that's the case, The military already has information on the people that were cheating. And the fact that the military, especially the Navy, is a very prestigious organization. We want the best of the best that are serving in our military. If you see someone that's in our ranks and they're not upholding a level of integrity, I also believe that it's your duty to bring that information forward. So the fact that she didn't walk, the fact that she refused to rat people out and tell the truth about what was going on, it's really, really making me start to doubt anything that comes out of her mouth at this point. But despite that, I think it shouldn't be leaked like that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree 100%. And by the way, it wasn't officially the Chitterelli camp that did this. This was somebody who knows somebody in the camp. So somebody, look, I'll tell you right now, as a member of the media, where was all the media when Jackie, I keep saying Jackie Chitterelli. I'm combining Mikey and Jack. When Mikey Chitterelli, twice, when Mikey Sherrill decided to run for Congress and she made her military background the epicenter of her campaign. And that was one thing because she wasn't well known to the public. But at that point, everybody, her opponents and members of the media, should have done some probing. I'm sure there was somebody who could have said, she was in the academy during the whole scandal. Fast forward, she has been in Congress 5 years. Why isn't she touting her record in Congress? Instead, she's touting her military record from 5 years ago again, or from 20 years ago. That's what she's talking about in her commercials. Why not say, when I was in Congress, I did this, and this, and now I'm running to do the same as governor. Right there, it sounds kind of suspicious.
Well, she's already been caught up she's already been caught up in a previous scandal where she had to pay fines for essentially insider trading and other things. I always found it very cringy when people who are, and granted, it's fine if you're a veteran and you can tout that, that's fine, but it shouldn't be the epicenter of your campaign. I'm a veteran. People know that I'm a veteran, but I don't start with, well, I did this in the military, therefore this is what I'm going to do here in Congress. It's just a highlight of who I am and what I want to bring forward. But that's all that she's brought to the table, that and the fact that she's a mother of four. When it comes to answering questions about what we're going to do about the increase in taxes and the unaffordability of the state of New Jersey, the first thing we're hit with is the fact that she flew a helicopter. And I think it's a little bit disrespectful. It doesn't answer the full question that people are looking for. We're thankful for your service, even though now there's some red flags and there's a murky cloud over it. But despite that, we want to know what you're going to do for the state. And here across the state, people are seeing Jack Ciattarelli's answering the questions that people want to know. He's showing up in communities where Republicans traditionally have not shown up. I can tell you here, in the 9th district here in Passaic and in Bergen County, especially in Patterson and Passaic, the energy is very high for Jack because not only has he showed up, but he's actually stopped by and spoken with people, held town halls, and has demonstrated what he wants to do for the state as a whole. And I think if Mickey wants to have sorry, now I'm messing up like you, but if Mikey wants to have a good shot at becoming the next governor, then she needs to come forward with the plan. And I think Jack has the appropriate plan.
And honestly, let me point something out. My biggest complaint for both candidates a month ago was they're not coming on local media. They were not coming on local New Jersey media. They were only doing, Jack was doing some Fox and Mikey was doing MSNBC. That's it. Now, Jack has been doing local media. Look at his numbers. Since he's doing New Jersey media, he has gone in a direct up trajectory. Mikey Sherrill's numbers have stayed exactly the same. So what's happened is Mikey came in at 42 to 44%. She's still at 42 to 44% in a state that is 860,000 in the plus for Democrats. And you have Jack Ciattarelli, who came in at like 30-something%. He's now beating her by a point in one poll or tied with her. He should be, based on the numbers of registered Republicans, he should be behind by 5 points at this point. And he's beating her by a point in a very well-respected poll.
See, the issue is Mikey is running just like all the typical Democrats in the state of New Jersey. They'll say, I'm standing up for healthcare, women's rights, kill your baby, all these things like that. Men and women's sports, the same thing that the entire party is essentially pushing as a whole. Most of the people aren't in line with that, but that's been the strategy for many years. It's the same strategy that my opponent, Nellie Poe, has used in her race, where they're going to tout the things the party wants to say. They're going to go and be the rubber stamp for the party, but they have nothing else to actually offer. While Jack has come consistently with an answer to the energy crisis, an answer to the crime issues we have in our state, the overdevelopment that's happening, how we're going to bring energy back so that we can become an exporter of energy as opposed to an importer that's put us in this situation to begin with. And people are starting to see through it. Of course, there's going to be the diehard Democrats, vote blue no matter who. But our state, and I want everyone that's watching this to understand this, we are not a blue state. I like to consider New Jersey a blue-collar state, a state that's full of workers that are in the trades, people that work in the emergency services and in our government as teachers, police, and so forth. These people are going to vote based on what's best for their family, what's best for their community, and what's best for the state as a whole, as opposed to little tiny nuanced social issues. And Jack is the only candidate that's bringing the answers for that group of people.
Absolutely. And you could just see kind of the shift in numbers. And I think at this point, it appears that Mikey Sherrill is on the defensive. Jack looks like he is on the offensive and going hard. And again, to hear Mikey Sherrill talk about the fact that on day one, she'll take care of the energy crisis. Well, your party's in charge of everything right now. Why aren't you just taking care of it now? Governor Murphy says you can't do it the way you want to do it. I mean, that's her party's leader in the state of New Jersey. So, it's a little disingenuous. We all know what the problem is. The Democrats ordered the shutdown of 6 power plants, period. That's that. People, I see our next guest on already, who's a good man, but I know he's going to debate me on that issue in terms of what is impacting the energy costs. But that may be part of the problem. And Mikey Sherrill can take a very proactive approach on this, but now it looks like the whole campaign is focusing in a different direction. So we'll see what happens. Billy Prempeh, we appreciate you coming on, and we know that you're going to be running very hard for Congress. Each time, by the way, Billy ran against, even when Bill Pascrell, who was a really nice guy, by the way, Bill Pascrell, who passed last year, Bill Pascrell was a long 2.5 decades congressman from your district. And in the last 2 times you ran, I'm sorry?
27 years, yeah.
27 years. So a man with that entrenchment in the community, and yet I looked at each time you ran, the 2 times, I guess you ran against him 2 times, right? And each time the numbers started lower, up, and then you came very close, just within a few points, the last election. So it's on an upward trajectory for you too. Passaic County is changing, and Billy Prempeh wants to take that seat. So we'll see what happens. Billy Prempeh, I'm sure we'll talk to you a lot between now and the midterms. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
You bet. All right. And just out of fairness, we are not just being one-sided here. It is now 64 degrees at 8 o'clock. And when we come back, the political firestorm and the competitive race for New Jersey governor as Democratic candidate Mikey Sherrill's military records are released. And you just heard a Republican saying they should not have been released, and certainly not have been released the way they were. That was wrong. They released their social security number. That was wrong. They released their private information. Absolutely wrong. There should be an investigation into that. And we will speak with former Democratic state assemblyman and gubernatorial candidate at one point, John Wisniewski, about it. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30. Very good morning. It is 8:01, Monday, September 29th, 2025, last Monday of September. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta now with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Can't believe it's October already on Wednesday. It's going so fast. And yet we start off nice and warm just for the next 2 days before temperatures come crashing down by Wednesday. And even into Thursday morning, might have some frost and freeze advisories up into the northwest corner of the state. We're mild right now, running a few degrees cooler than this time yesterday, but there is noticeable humidity in the air, especially down the shore, where the humidity hangs around, thanks to a little bit of cloud cover and some rain developing by the end of the day there. I think we're dry for most of the northern part of the state. Don't need your umbrellas if you find yourself north of 195 today. But there's a little bit of a breeze coming in out of the north and northeast. Helps to increase cloud cover. Keeps a little bit muggier at the shore. And then by tomorrow afternoon, that wind blows from the north and that dries the air out, making it feel very dry, very cool on Wednesday morning, with a little bit of a fall feel in the air. Yeah, the air will feel crisp on Wednesday morning. It'll be very pleasant with a gusty breeze lasting throughout the afternoon. So as far as today, we're warm. Temperatures climb back into the low 80s. It'll feel very pleasant. There's the light sprinkles that take over down the shore. Very, very light rain. And again, north of 195, you don't see anything. So it's going to remain predominantly south. Tomorrow's another day in the 80s. Even though there'll be some extra clouds around, it feels mild. Then those breezes from the north drag temperatures down and make it feel quite chilly into Thursday morning. Wednesday afternoon is actually only in the 50s and low 60s. And then by Thursday morning, we start seeing those temperatures in the low and mid 30s. So just a few degrees away from freezing there, from Sussex through Morristown, even in Flemington. Eastern half of the state, still chilly in the mid 40s and 50s. So some cool weather arriving just in time for October's arrival. And then it warms right up again for the weekend with some more mild weather. It also turns a little bit more humid by the weekend as well, as the next round of wet weather should come in later next week, but it takes its time. So again, a little bit of wet weather down the shore, clouds for the northern part of the state tomorrow, still in the 80s, and then cooling off just in time for October's arrival into the 40s and 50s in the morning, only in the 60s by the afternoon. We'll tell you more about the weekend warm-up that's on the way. Of course, the sun just rose on a Monday. We have to talk about the weekend. And then going into next week, feeling warm as well. Those details coming up.
I'm shocked you didn't start talking about the weekend before we went on the air, Mike. I mean, it would have been better if you started talking about it like maybe 4.5 hours ago. Then I would have been happy. Yeah, that's what I
I was
expect.
still thinking
All
about the
right, sir.
previous weekend, so gotta do it in stages.
That's the way to do it, Mike. I'm with you 100%. No debate from me, pal. All right, we'll check back in a little bit. 62 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 64 degrees in down in Trenton, New Jersey, and down the shore, down in Cape May, we have 61 degrees. In terms of traffic, there's now fire department activity, which we never like to hear at the Lincoln Tunnel. Center Tunnel eastbound, the New Jersey side in Weehawken. All lanes are blocked. So this is about to become the nightmare of the morning, folks. Now, when we hear fire department activity at the tunnel, it doesn't mean that there's a fire. I mean, it might. Could be a car broken down. It could be somebody who has a health emergency. So please don't read into that in the negative. We don't know what it is. They're just calling it fire department activity. It's at the Lincoln Tunnel, Center Tunnel. That's going to cause a nightmare. So remember, when you're going into the tunnels, on the right side, you have one of the two lanes dedicated for buses. Then you have one lane for cars, and then you have the middle tunnel. And if the middle tunnel is shut down, that means anybody going to the Lincoln Tunnel, you only got one way in, one lane for all of the people who head to the Lincoln Tunnel. Try to avoid it like the plague. Go for the Holland or the GWB, but I hate to tell you, GWB is a nightmare right now, too. It's not a good choice. If you could take mass transit, get off, take the ferry, that's your better bet. It's going to take you a while to get in. It's going to be a nightmare. Let's take a look at what things are looking like now. GWB approaching, you'll see what I'm talking about. That is a nightmare. That's 40 to 45 minutes, upper and lower levels. You'll see some police activity there as well. Some lights flashing, and it's been that way for well over an hour. We're told it's 40 to 45 minutes in GWB. And like I said, it was 35 minutes at the Lincoln before this issue. Now it's basically stopped. It's an absolute mess. So try to avoid that if you can. Holland Tunnel, again, like I said, is also an absolute mess. And we're keeping our fingers crossed. Other traffic to tell you about. We have delays on Route 18 northbound from south of the Turnpike, rather, in East Brunswick to north of Route 172, George Street in New Brunswick. All lanes are open, but that's about a 3-mile delay on Route 18 to tell you about. Route 4, we have delays right now. Eastbound west of River Road to Queen Anne Road and Teaneck with all lanes open. And we have some issues now. Route 21, delays on 21 southbound from Chester Avenue to 280 in Newark. All lanes are open. That's bumper to bumper, we're told right now. And delays on 1 and 9 Tunnelly Avenue southbound from Secaucus Road in North Bergen to County Avenue in Jersey City. All lanes are open. 8:07 is our time. John Wisniewski is a former New Jersey State Assemblyman, former New Jersey Democratic primary candidate for governor, and a legal and political analyst. And he's here to talk about the recent release of gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill's military records without her consent. Key there. Now, the records were released after a Freedom of Information Act request, but they were released in their entirety, unredacted, Social Security number, private address. Every bit of her private information was released. Information that would be unnecessary for anyone requesting those military records. So why did it happen? Cheryl's Social Security number, again, think about it if it happened to you, was released. That should never happen. So let's bring in John Wisniewski right now. John, good morning to you. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good, thank you. So when you heard about this, I mean, I was incensed hearing about it because when you have your Social Security number and your private information, that is sacrosanct. That is never supposed to be released. I mean, you're a professional. You ran for governor. When you heard about that, what went through your mind?
Well, it's disappointing, it's disgusting, but I want to be honest, right? No one should be surprised that this would happen when the Trump administration is responsible for the release of that information. Releasing Social Security number, home address, all of the information that normally would be redacted, somehow, in this particular case, in the midst of a gubernatorial election, it gets released. That's not an accident.
Yeah, there is no debating. I want an investigation. I want to find out how this happened. Whoever did this, If it can be traced higher, it should be traced higher. I'm with you 100%. That is disgusting, especially if you're a veteran and you commit to serving your country and risking your life. You don't deserve it. We had just Billy Prempeh. I don't know if you heard any of the interview. He's a Republican. He's a vet. He was disgusted by the release of that, the detail, certainly the detail. I mean, it's one thing with the Freedom of Information Act, you are in certain circumstances, you're allowed to release certain limited information. Limited. They released the whole file. So now what kind of an investigation should be and would be done at this point?
Well, we should call on the FBI to do the investigation. But again, we can't count on the FBI to do an investigation when this stuff happens to a Democratic candidate for governor. But look, if the shoe were on the other foot and there was damaging or just personal information released about a Republican candidate, the Kash Patel FBI would be all over this. And so we see what a double standard really means in this country today. And it's disappointing because what this means is that this administration for the next 3 years will weaponize every system of government available to them to seek whatever advantage they think they can get, rightly or wrongly.
Well, should we have a congressional investigation? Because if you don't trust the FBI, like we're talking out of both sides now. We're saying we don't trust the FBI. At the same time, the FBI hasn't done anything. I mean, I'm with you. John,
No,
you
I
and I
mean,
are,
Ken,
we're frighteningly
Ken,
on the
the
same side
FBI,
here.
yeah, the FBI hasn't done anything. But what I'm saying is like, no one should be holding their breath that the FBI is going to have some type of moment of clarity in which they say, oh, this is something we need to do. And Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, you think that he's going to allow a congressional investigation into something that the Trump administration did incorrectly? Look, this came out of the Trump administration. The people responsible for this information, whether it came from the Department of Defense, which it likely did, is run by Pete Hegseth, who has shown himself very eager to abuse the power given to him. So it's like, yeah, let's get a congressional investigation. That's going to have to wait until the Democrats take the majority in the midterm elections. But in the meantime, this is something that is, you and I are going to talk about that it's wrong. We're all going to agree that it's wrong. Republicans can even agree that it's wrong, but you won't see a single Republican calling for an investigation of this.
I hope they investigate. I want to know. I mean, and I'm hoping
Oh,
there are
yeah.
enough honest Republicans out there who want to get to the bottom of it, because again, we all either we served or we have relatives who served, and we need to know how this happened. And if it came to Pete Hegseth authorizing it, Pete Hegseth, get your ass out of there, or bring him up on charges. That is not acceptable. Period. But now, if I could,
You and
just
I
want to
agree.
shift, John. Yeah, 100%. See, my father's a vet. We were very upset by that. But John, here's the thing, and there is no but equivocation. What I'm saying with the following is the way it gets handled. If I am Mikey Sherrill's handlers, this is what I would have said to this. I would have said, all right, that should never have been released, and it shows how disgusting the other side is. But I served 9 years in the military. Mr. Chitterelli, how many years did you serve? I would have done that. I would have turned it around and shoved it right up the other side's backside. I would have said, I served 9 years. I didn't have to serve 9 years. Once you graduate the Naval Academy, you have to serve 4 or 5 years. But I could have left at that point. I come from a comfortable background. I'm an attorney. But no, I served 9 years. How about you? What did you do? I would have and even the fact that she got into the Naval Academy, which is one of the most difficult academies in the whole country to get into, I would have said, where'd you go to school? I went to the Naval Academy. Flip it around right on its head and shove it right up the other side. Who is advising her? She's only on MSNBC, which, has about 90,000 viewers nationwide. I'm not trying to make fun. It's a fact. Come on to New Jersey media. No, it doesn't. 25, 54 adults, which is all they care about. I'm telling you, it's 90,000. That's why NBC has gotten rid of them. My thing is, come on to New Jersey media. We've all invited them on. They don't even answer our calls. I don't mean just me. News 12, New Jersey 101.5. They ignore us all. And we're trying to put her on. She doesn't want to come on. So this is the point, John. It's like, come out. She should be taking the lead and showing control on this.
Well, I think she is showing control, and I think she's showing the grace that we need in elected officials who are not going to immediately get into the whataboutism that the Republicans too frequently get into. Look, her record as a naval aviator speaks for itself. Her record as having attended the Naval Academy speaks for itself. The disgusting weaponization of her personal information speaks for itself. So I think there's a lot of different ways of looking at this, and certainly you and I are not inside the tent, so to speak, on the decision making that the Mikey Sherrill campaign makes. And let's make sure we know it's Mikey, not Mike. I think that she's handling this appropriately.
I don't know if you heard me before. I kept conflating Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill and saying Jackie. That was, I don't know why my brain, I need an extra cup of coffee. Former New Jersey State Assemblyman, former New Jersey Democratic primary candidate for governor, which is why your insight is so valuable here, and a legal and political analyst, John Wisniewski. I appreciate you coming on today. Please, this is not going to go away anytime soon. We want you back, and we got to talk more about it. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me on.
You bet, John. Have a good day. 8:15. And we're going to take a call right now. We have a caller here on the line, and Jeff from Livingston. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Hey, Ken, how are you doing? Excuse me.
Thank you.
Last time I called about, we were talking about something a bit lighter, which was, exclamation points and other grammar. But here's why I'm calling today. So, how does a typical voter really determine who's going to be a better governor? Well, what I'm putting on the table is that it's not about attack ads and debates and, who knows? But how do you really determine it? Well, I say it's about one's, shared values and beliefs, and probably, this election and many others may come down to that in the end.
So where do you stand? See, I'm very opinionated. I'm a libertarian, and I like a lot of Jack Ciattarelli's issues. At the same time, I have some problems with releasing somebody's social security number, and I want to know how it happened. It could have just been an accident, but you can understand someone like John Wisniewski and people on the left saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, that's a little bit of a coincidence." So you can understand where do you stand on that? What's your feeling about that?
Well, of course it shouldn't have been done. I mean, that's an easy one. But you're asking me, do I think they did it? Did someone actually do it on purpose? Who knows? How the hell do you really know this stuff?
Sure. Well, I appreciate it. And it's only going to get more fiery from this point on. So, Jeff, we love your opinion, and you're always a delight to have you call in. So please call back and let us know as things go on, because I'm sure that this is only the first shoe to drop, and there are many more to come. Jeff from Livingston, we always appreciate your call, man. Have a great day.
Keep up the good work over there, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Jeff from Livingston. That's awesome. We appreciate the calls. And we want to take your call to 888-658-0234. It's 8:17. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. It's a time to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and focus on real steps in communities for them to take to help save lives. We're going to talk to an expert about the real impact of suicide on our society today. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 8:18. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Getting a little cooler by midweek, eh, Mike?
It is, and a little windy too. You'll really notice that fall breeze blowing in throughout the day on Wednesday. There's already a gale watch up for the coast. That's where you'll feel the winds the strongest there from midsection of Monmouth County all the way down through Ocean and Atlantic County, with those gusts exceeding 35 miles per hour. So pretty gusty breeze setting up by the middle of the week. But for today, just another warm afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a few clouds passing through, making it feel very pleasant today, like another summer afternoon out toward Point Pleasant. 76 degrees is your high. Even warmer as you head inland. There's more clouds across central New Jersey throughout this afternoon as some showers work their way up from the south. Visibility has improved statewide, but I think by the end of the day, we'll see some of those light rains work their way through. As a result of Imelda, there's actually the outer bands of Imelda working their way through and then kind of being steered out to sea thanks to the high pressure that'll move in for Wednesday. It's already influencing our weather, and it hasn't even arrived yet. Our forecast brings back some humid weather throughout this evening down the shore. Again, a little bit of rain there, but it's dry up to the north, so we don't see any wet weather here across the northern part of the state where we need the rain the most, even though we had a little bit of wet weather over the weekend. Certainly not enough to quell the drought and our thirst for wet weather that we really need. You saw a little band of red go through there. That's how dry it will be by Wednesday morning. Very chilly weather on the way, also very dry weather, making it feel like fall just in time for October's arrival. Then throughout the rest of the week into Friday and Saturday, we see another round of warm weather return. Gorgeous blue sky, lots of clear sunshine throughout the day on Saturday. Sunday looking great too. A really pretty weekend ahead. And then throughout the remainder of next week, I think we see a little bit of a warming trend take over that will bring highs above average into the middle of next week. So as far as this weekend is concerned, sunny all around. Temperatures warm to 76 on Saturday, 80 on Sunday. A nice warm finish with those dry westerly breezes, keeping it like an extension of summer into early next month. We'll tell you more about the weekend weather and next week's warm-up, Ken. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. I'm looking now. Forgive me for looking away. We have an issue, as we mentioned, at the Lincoln Tunnel. We're trying to get the best camera to show everybody. We do this live on the air. People think, I know we have 37 interns running around, but they all don't know what their job is. So Pam and I have to figure it out while you're doing weather. So there we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. Pam gets her fall starting Wednesday, but then I get my summer back starting next week. I love it. It is 63 degrees right now in northern New Jersey. We have 67 in Trenton and 60 degrees down the shore in Cape May. Pam, do we have a 495 cam? If not, I'll just talk about it. If we do have it, that's great. 495, which is the Helix. Yeah, bring it up, please. That's fine. So that's perfect, Pam. Pam is the best. The best. So this is not the best. This is Route 3 merging into 495, and it's heavy right now because there are issues at the Lincoln Tunnel. There was apparently fire department activity at the center tube, shutting down the center tube entry. That may have been cleared already, but the damage is done for at least 20 to 30 minutes of residual traffic because it only left one lane of non-bus traffic going into the city at the Lincoln. So this is the traffic you have as a result. It's moving, though. That's not so bad. The Holland Tunnel is your better bet. It's about 25 to 30 minutes, but take a look at the GWB upper and lower level approaches. An absolute mess. Remember, we still have a gridlock alert week this week. There you go. UN General Assembly is still in town. So they're telling you, please, if you can, even though it's not as bad as last week when the world leaders came in, the prime ministers and presidents, this week we still have the ambassadors. So that's why you still have this happening at the GWB. Certainly 45 minutes in, you're asked to take mass transit or work from home if you can. Otherwise, certainly avoid the Upper East Side of Manhattan because this is going to cost you 45 minutes in via the GWB. 8:22 is our time. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. It's a time to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and focus on real steps that communities can take to help save lives. Suicide remains one of the leading causes of death in the United States. And this month is a critical reminder of how important mental health support really is. Najamah Davis is a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor with over 15 years of experience, and she specializes in trauma, school social work, and supporting women, children, and teens facing mental health challenges. And she joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Najamah.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it's such an important thing. How big of an impact is suicide on society today? Because we think people die of cancers and heart attack. Suicide is one of the highest causes of death.
Yes, suicide is it is a major issue that affects millions of people and families in the U.S. Specifically, it's the 11th leading cause of death in the United States, and amongst ages 10 and 30, between ages 10 and 34, it's the leading cause of death. So it is a major issue that affects many of us in the United States and many of our young population as well.
Why do you think that demographic is it? Because in my mind, the first thing that comes to mind is more active on social media, not established in life yet. They haven't really found their way yet, right? So, I mean, is it some combination thereof? Or something totally different that I don't know about?
I do think there is a combination of things that's going on. I think media have an impact on it. I think also peer pressure as well may have an
Uh,
impact on some of the suicide rates. Some individuals feel pressured. Some don't feel like they are able to fit in amongst their peers.
what are some of the most common warning signs that somebody could be struggling?
I would say one of the number one warning signs is when the individual is talking about wanting to die, or they're feeling
Mm.
hopeless, withdrawing and feeling hopeless, like withdrawing from their peers, withdrawing from family, isolating from things that they once enjoyed in life.
Yeah, and
Um,
if somebody is concerned that they may have a relative or a friend, how do you safely check in without coming out and saying, "Are you suicidal?" I mean, because people may not admit it if they are. How do you check in safely? How do you gently ask the questions?
I would say me personally, I would say start off by being open and honest, having a compassionate conversation with your loved one, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with asking them directly.
Hmm.
How are you feeling? I'm noticing some changes in your behavior. I'm noticing some changes in your mood. Um, tell me what you're experiencing lately. So I think having open and honest conversations and being transparent about what you're seeing, if you're noticing visible changes in their behavior, if you're noticing visible changes in their mood, and listen
So
without judgment.
that's the key, right? Just telling them no matter what you say, I'm here to help you. That you can't say anything that's going to hurt me, upset me. I'm your friend or your mom, your dad. I love you. Whatever you say stays between us, and I love you, and I'll be here to help. That's right. That's because look, I've had, and we're going to talk about this too. It's also what addiction prevention month, alcohol and drug addiction month. So that's all in the. It's all mental stress month, if you will, mental health month. And I've had addiction in my family. And when you go on the attack, it's the worst thing you could do. But when you approach with, I love you, I know you're going through some challenges, and I want to just tell you I'm here to help you. That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Correct. Yes. Just just
So,
letting the reassuring the person that the support is there, resources are there.
and what role can schools and educators play in prevention, Najamah?
I would say one of the major roles for schools, educators, and communities is creating a safe place where mental health is openly discussed. Um, Training staff, that could be training staff, training educators, to be aware of warning signs of when a student is struggling or when a peer is struggling. Normalizing checking in with your peers, normalizing checking in with the students, and
Why do
letting
you
them know.
think men? Yeah, and I was going to say, why do you think dealing with mental health issues is just so stigmatizing? When we have the flu, we don't have a problem going to the doctor. When we break our arm, we have no problem going to urgent care. But when we have a mental health issue, which is just another medical issue, in many cases it's a chemical thing. Why are so many people, why do they view it as like a weakness or something we don't want to talk about, like it's a taboo?
Well, I think there's more than one reason. There's more than one reason for that, and I think one of the reasons is there's a deep cultural narrative where emotions may be seen as a weakness to some individuals, or may be seen as failure. Um, and then I think, some people are fearful about speaking up. Some people are fearful about being rejected about speaking up about what they're struggling with mentally. Um, and I think there's a little bit of shame as well that plays a role.
And
And
there's no reason
another
for that. I
thing,
think because people, I don't mean to jump in, but I'm like, people years ago, they looked at mental health issues as weakness, and it's not weakness. It's a chemical thing. We're made of chemicals. It's a chemical imbalance, right? I mean, it's so ridiculous. It shows such a lack of education when people condemn because somebody is going through a challenge.
yes, yes, I definitely agree with that. And I think the more we speak about this and we educate people, I think it's a strong possibility that we can reduce the stigma even more. And we can make
Mhm.
people feel more comfortable about speaking about what their struggles are.
So if somebody's going through an issue right now, what should they do? Should they approach somebody that they know and care about, or should they, is it better to go to a professional? What would you advise?
I would say speak to someone you feel.
Uh-oh. All right. We just had what Pam, our director, knows what just happened. We know it's a technical glitch. We apologize. And we didn't mean to cut off our person, but just so it was the end of the natural conclusion of the interview, we didn't mean that to happen. Licensed clinical social worker and licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor Najamah Davis, I thank you for coming on this morning. We'll have you back on to properly finish the sentence at a future date. We appreciate you. It's 8:30 right now. It is 64 degrees. When we come back, he's fresh off his fundraising run for Tunnel to Towers. We'll talk to brand and digital strategist Fisher about yesterday's run, and we'll talk about the world of digital IDs. Phone lines are open, taking calls at 888-658-0234, and we will be right back. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning to you. It is Monday, September 29th, 2025, the last Monday of September. Our temperature now 63 degrees, and I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Mix of sun and clouds this morning, then clouds build a bit more later in the day. Highs about 80. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Sun's been out for a few hours now, and we have a beautiful start to the day. But the clouds increase throughout the afternoon. You can already see those clouds working their way through. As the sun rises, you'll see them reflect here off the visible satellite. Most of the cloud cover is in southern New Jersey, but there's a few now developing across the northern part of the state as well. Well, that will give us, I think, a grayer sky as the day goes along, specifically in South Jersey. And if you find yourself south of 195 today, plan on a hazy afternoon with some light showers developing, even down toward Cape May and Avalon by this afternoon. But the temperature stays warm. It feels like a muggy 82 degrees in Camden this afternoon, where some places in New Jersey may get as warm as 89 degrees, far from our average where we should be at 73. So all of this cloud cover is actually due to Tropical Storm Imelda, which is offshore the Florida coast. There it is. You can see all those clouds working their way up the coastline. What's great about Umberto, this large system, which is just a few hundred miles to the east of Imelda, is that Umberto's energy is helping to spin Imelda around and away from the U.S. coastline. It's something we talked about before, known as the Fujiwara effect, named after the Japanese scientist who found it, this phenomenon. So as Umberto works its way around to the east, basically missing Bermuda entirely, it'll start to steer the energy away from Bermuda and the Bahamas and take Imelda out to the east as well. So a lot of names there all at once. But What we need to know here for New Jersey is that our wave heights and coastal erosion will be pretty evident by Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. You see these bright shades of yellow and red indicating 10 to 15 foot waves. So yeah, a lot of waves on the way that will be wrecking the shoreline yet again after just a few weeks ago. We had that storm offshore that gave us some pretty big beach erosion as well. Once we get into this evening, again, could see those outer bands work their way through with some showers only in southern New Jersey, and then the northerly winds take over and dry out the air, cool us down into a pretty chilly start to Wednesday morning. By 38 degrees at 7 a.m. It'll feel even cooler by Thursday morning, and that is where we could even have some frost and freeze advisories come the end of the week, specifically for Thursday morning. So there's the high swinging out to sea, protecting us from any of the tropical activity, and we look great going into the middle of the week with a drier, cooler feel. Once the weekend approaches, we stay dry, but we warm right back up into the upper 70s, touching 80 by Sunday. It's going to be a warm weekend, just like the weekend we had. I think just a little bit drier with less humidity, but there's that cloud cover that comes in for tonight into tomorrow down the shore, and then cooler by the beaches as well by Wednesday and Thursday. Windy too. You want to hang on to your hats with those gale force gusts at the beaches middle of the weekend.
I was never a hat guy. Are you a hat guy?
No. But my wife is trying to turn my son into a hat guy. Cute, when you're 8 months old, you put on a little baseball cap with the initial of your name, and yeah. But for me, I'm not a hat person.
Your son is cute no matter what. Yes, he could wear a hat, not wear a hat. He's still cute. All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll check back, sir. It is now 67 degrees northern New Jersey. No, wrong. 65 northern New Jersey, 67 Trenton. It's only 62 down in Cape May. 8:35 is our time in terms of traffic. Go over to the New Jersey Turnpike if we could. The inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13A at Newark Airport, 1 and 9 Elizabeth. All lanes are open, but there are some vehicles off on the right shoulder, which is the leftmost side of your screen. That's causing this mess of everybody trying to jam up to get around it when they go right past. See where it says mornings? The vehicles are just beyond that point. That's causing the problem you see right now. We have an overturned vehicle on Route 138 eastbound Allenwood Road in Wall Township. All lanes are closed there, and we still have that overturned tractor trailer I-80 westbound east of exit 28, which is Roxbury Township. 2 left lanes closed. The approaches to the Hudson River have been a mess. We still have the UN General Assembly in town, although the world leaders are gone, but the ambassadors are still being pains in the ass right now. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Get your lunch and go home, folks. You've done your talking. So we still have a mess in Manhattan. Gridlock alert week still in effect. The Lincoln Tunnel is now 35 to 40 minutes across, 25 to 30 at the Holland. Look at the GWB if you want to see what I'm talking about. There you go. So ambassadors who, by the way, don't have to pay congestion pricing because they have a diplomatic immunity. So they're here clogging up our damn streets, clogging up our restaurant reservations, and clogging up our traffic from New Jersey. Go home. You're done. This is now 45 to 50 minutes to get into Manhattan. 8:36 is our time. Well, he is always welcome to come on. He's fresh off his fundraising run for Tunnel to Towers. He does it all the time, by the way. Good man. He even showered this morning. And there's news on the front of digital IDs. Brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X and Threads with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Here now with more. Good morning, Fisher. So you flew to New York from the South, and you ran Tunnel to Towers. Then you got back on a plane, you flew back south, and you're on this morning. You're insane.
Yes. I also did a tour of Francis's Tavern, the Ear Inn, and McSorley's, which are the 3 oldest pubs in New York. So that was exciting as well. There's Dave Portnoy on the screen. He was the starter of Tunnel to Towers. I guess we'll talk about this first. It was fantastic. 40,000 runners. Those are the first responders that are running first, and they are running. You can see, I'm looking at the monitor, so you can see the firefighters wearing full gear, jackets, pants, helmet. They're not allowed to carry the tanks like O2 tanks or anything like that. They don't have axes, but I mean, to run normally and then to run in gear is amazing. Police officers running in uniform, and then you had military members. It's just amazing. It's amazing every year. I got choked up last time we talked about this. Get choked up again. Tunnel to Towers, great organization. T2T.org is the website to donate. They pay off mortgages and build houses for law enforcement officers and military members and injured, vets and things of that sort. So the organization's great. Check it out if you've never heard of it, but it was fantastic. 40,000, New Yorkers, New Jerseyans, and everybody from around the world. And it was great. The past 2 years it rained, so it was nice to go into the tunnel dry and come out of the tunnel dry. So it was just a great event.
Yeah, and I know you rightfully get emotional. I'm so proud of you to be taking part every year, and I hope you raise lots of money for them. I know you do it, but as you're saying, I know you don't care whether they donate through you or they donate directly to Tunnel to Towers.
But if you want to donate
is
to me,
yes, go ahead.
It's
tell
it's
them
still
how
up.
you
It's
could.
it's runsignup.com/Fisher, Fisher, the way it's spelled on the screen. So runsignup.com/Fisher. It's still open for the next week or two, but yeah, you can still donate through me if you wanted to. So either way, money goes to Tunnel to Towers, doesn't come to me. So that's the best part.
There you go. And we should talk about something that I didn't understand about, and we have the video. I went online and looked it up.
Sure.
We have the video for you. You talked about digital IDs. Right away, I had the misconception you were talking about, just a driver's license on your phone, but it's way more than that in the European standard, Europe and UK. So talk about their digital IDs versus what I was thinking.
And this is the scary one. So let me talk about the scary one first, and then we can talk about what Governor Murphy signed back in July for New Jersey. So Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced plans for mandatory digital ID system for the country by 2029 to combat, they say, illegal working and deter migrants from entering the UK, which is interesting. The digital ID will serve as proof of a right to work, aiming to make illegal immigration more difficult by automating information collection and enforcement. Now, more than 2 million people have already signed a petition against the plans, viewing them as a move towards mass surveillance and digital control. The digital ID is planned to be smartphone based, just like contactless cards if you pay at Starbucks or Walgreens, whatever that is. Over time, though, it would be used to provide access to such services as childcare, welfare, and access to tax records. Now, Swiss citizens narrowly voted in favor of a national digital ID just this past week with 50.4%, but that's supposedly voluntary. Now, in the United States, we have verification, right? You have E-Verify. You typically use your passport or now a real ID, and Form I-9 is what you usually fill out when you join a new job. Now, it's not digital, and that's the difference. And so it's scary, and what's also scary is Larry Ellison, who is the founder of Oracle, still owns it. He is pushing for and has backed this European digital ID, but he feels that that would be a good thing to help keep police in check and keep citizens behaving well. That's scary to me, and we should avoid that at all costs. But now I know that, and we talked about this, that Governor Murphy signed legislation just back in July to give New Jerseyans a digital driver's license. That is not the same thing as what I just talked about. So what this is just a standard digital, it's a digital version of your driver's license that sits on your phone. I have one here in Georgia. I use it to go through TSA, but agencies in Georgia and businesses, bars, anything under, that you have to prove your age, whatever that is, they're slowly rolling out. And this is not a national ID. This is just your driver's license on your phone. The main question, you asked me this last night, Ken, when, if you got pulled over by a police officer and you had to present your driver's license, you don't hand the officer your phone. You don't unlock your phone and then say, here's my text messages, here's all this. You double click on your driver's license like you would, again, if for those of us who've paid at stores. In a lot of stores nowadays, you can pay at Target and all of the typical stores that you go to, PetSmart, Petco, whatever it is, and again, Starbucks, and you just double click your phone, no matter what phone you have. It brings up the card, credit card, or membership card. If you use Omni, if you go into the city, you're definitely using your phone or your watch. So same thing with driver's license. The officer comes up, says, please present your ID, and then you double click your driver's license and you will tap a reader that the officer will have probably on his vest, a small little reader, and that will give the officer the information that the officer needs to process, that it's you, a picture, your date of birth, things of that sort, that your driver's license is valid. If you go to an establishment where you have to prove you're over 21, you double click and you would tap and it would give a little 21 checkpoint or check mark with your face to show that it's you, but it's not going to give that establishment your address and your and all that stuff, anything personal. So when I go through TSA, it gives the information needed to process me to get through. So again, your driver's license is not a national ID. Your driver's license is your driver's license. The state has as much information on your driver's license currently as they will when it's digital in your phone. And as of now, in any state in the union, the digital ID for your driver's license is completely voluntary, not needed. You could still carry your regular driver's license with you. But again, what Governor Murphy signed back in July to get a digital ID for those of you in New Jersey is just a simple ability to carry it on your phone and make it more accessible. Apple just rolled out a new version, iOS 26, which will allow you to put your US passport on your driver's license, again, as a form of identification if you were going through TSA or things of that sort, because digital IDs use on phones in the United States is not widespread. So it definitely will take, years, decades. I mean, we couldn't roll out Real ID for feels like 50 years, but having every state agency convert to digital ID, right now I think there's only 13 that are live. So, that would be a long process. But again, what Europe is doing, what Switzerland's doing, and what Governor Murphy signed into law and 12 other states in the United States are absolutely completely different. You will not hand your phone over to a police officer. They will not have the right to go through your phone, things of that sort. So definitely two different things. Scary of what's going on in Europe, but not what's going on here in the United States.
I'm so glad you clarified that, because immediately, like I'm sure a lot of people, I thought exactly what you just mentioned, that you hand your phone to the officer, and now you've given rights for the officer to see other stuff in your phone, which then could incriminate. But you're saying that is not the case. You would take your phone and do that, and only the essential information goes to the officer. That's it. Whereas in Europe, they're talking about, Europe and UK might as well implant a chip in our brain. That's what it sounds like where they're at. It's kind of frightening.
They're looking to make it a central ID for banking. They're making it a central ID for possibly, getting into things. So then the government knows where you've badged in, or where you work, or where you've gone, or your toll, or whatever that is. I mean, that's going down a path of some
Big
Will
Brother.
Smith movie from the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's total Big Brotherism. And by the way, what's funny is Larry Ellison is from Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
His son just took over Paramount for Skydance. He's the chairman of Skydance, one of the wealthiest people. They're one of the wealthiest families, if not the wealthiest on the planet.
I think
they go
they
back and
have
forth
something
with
with
Elon
CNN
Musk.
as well.
Something like that. Yeah, they're trying to take it over, actually. They're trying to take it over right now, which they would combine CBS and CNN. I mean, that's in the process. We'll see what happens. But the point is, his son is a little more libertarian than he is. So it'd be interesting to see where his son stands on it, but it's not about the son. No, the son is definitely more libertarian than dad, but they're both worth billions. So who knows where it's going to go. Brand and digital strategist Fisher, found on X and Threads with username @Fisher, through the website too, fisher.media. Thank you for coming on. Congratulations again with Tunnel to Towers. And we appreciate with all your exhaustion that you took the time this morning. God bless you and congrats.
I'm going to go take 10 Advil right now, so I got to go.
Don't do that ever. To your max. Go get some sleep. Thank you, sir. All right. It is now 8:46. Thank you. Take care, Fisher. Pam, let's forego the break if we can. And right now, we have a pretty decent forecast for the Garden State right now, but it's going to be a little cooler as the week progresses. I can't speak today. Let's go straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It's the heat that's kind of going to affect you today, given how warm, unusually warm it will feel this afternoon. 80 or better up toward Hackensack and Jersey City, even 77 in West Milford. Lots of sunshine this morning and a noticeable level of humidity. But I think throughout the end of the day, as the dry weather kind of digs its heels into northern New Jersey, this drought that's with us will stick around for at least the next 2 weeks. And remember, we're forecast to stay dry throughout the first part of October. So the drought continues. There's still some improvement down toward the coast, especially with the additional rainfall that comes later on this evening. But look at the dark shade of red, well above average through the first half of October, not just for here in New Jersey, but the entire eastern half of the U.S. And the drier than average weather persists through the first week of October. The 7-day features plenty of sunny, warm weather, at least until tomorrow, and then it turns cooler but stays sunny. By Wednesday and Thursday, some chilly spots. Could even see some frost and freeze advisories to the north and west by Friday afternoon. And then with the weekend warming up, we climb back into the low 80s for much of next week. That first 80-degree day, again, is on Sunday. So a cool down as well at the shore. Not as dramatic. You get a little bit of that wind, however, that may be a little dramatic. Some gusts, gale force gusts up to about 30 or 40 miles per hour down the shore Wednesday and Thursday, and then clearing and cooler come Saturday and Sunday with a warm up on the way for next week as well, Ken.
All right, there you go. The cool down cometh. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Mike. It is now 65 degrees in northern New Jersey and 67 degrees in Trenton. We also have 62 degrees down in Cape May. 8:48 is our time. In terms of traffic, we have a crash now on the New Jersey Turnpike, Western Spur southbound, north of interchange 15W, which is I-280 in Kearney. All lanes are open. We have vehicles on the left shoulder. There's a crash on Route 138 eastbound in the vicinity of Route 34, Wall Township, with the right lane of 3 lanes closed. We have a crash with injuries, Route 35, both directions by Lawrence Parkway, Old Bridge Township. The left lane is closed there. We also have issues on the New Jersey Turnpike, inner roadway northbound south of interchange 13A, which is by Newark Liberty International Airport. In Elizabeth, all lanes open, but vehicles on the right shoulder. And still have an overturned tractor trailer, which is on I-80 westbound, east of exit 28, Route 46 in Roxbury Township. 2 left lanes of the 3 lanes are closed. Just an absolute mess making your way across the Hudson River. We're told right now it's about 25 to 30 at the Holland. But at the Lincoln Tunnel, it's about 40 to 45 minutes, 45 to 50 at the GWB as we look at the upper and lower level of the approach. This has been a nightmare all morning. A lot of that is due to the fact that we still have a gridlock alert in effect in Manhattan for the rest of the week. People think it's over. It's not over. UN General Assembly with the world leaders ended as of Friday. But in terms of the ambassadors and the consuls, they're still in town. So there is still a gridlock alert week in effect because of the ambassadors and consuls, and that's going to be a mess. So try to work from home if you can, take mass transit, or certainly avoid the Upper East Side of Manhattan. 8:50 is our time, and Irv Brechner is the creator of a unique marketing tool that's catching attention across industries, custom promotional playing cards. Now, they aren't just for fun. They're designed to help businesses grow and nonprofits connect with supporters in a memorable, hands-on way. Good morning and welcome, Irv.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, Ken.
You bet. So tell us what promotional playing cards are.
Well, they're beautiful cards that we design that when people play with them, their favorite games, they enjoy them, they're animated, they have a lot of fun. And for businesses and nonprofits, we specifically designed the cards to help grow their businesses. And we're going to look at a bunch of examples today. And that's kind of what it does in a nutshell.
So tell us, when you say they're animated, are they physical cards or are they digital?
It's a very, I call it a high-tech, low-tech combination. They're physical playing cards, just like the kind that you played with for decades, but they have QR codes, which is the high-tech aspect that connects the cards to online videos, websites, social media, and so forth. So it's designed really to give consumers a lot of fun and enjoy looking at the beautiful images on the cards, and to help businesses and nonprofits be more successful.
So give an example, Irv, of some of the different businesses that might want to use them and how they could use them.
Okay, let's take a look at 2 realtors. The first one would be Zach Shore Realtors, which is located at the Jersey Shore. What we did with them was we developed a deck of cards for their 100th anniversary. And if we could show that slide, it'd be great. So these cards on one side have their logo, their 100th anniversary logo, an image and a website. And the other side are 52 beautiful images of Long Beach Island. And what they do is they put them into gift bags that are given out to renters of the homes on Long Beach Island. And agents use them for other purposes. So that's a good example. Another realtor, which is a very totally different example, is Michael Klein of Hoboken, New Jersey. And Michael has developed a specialty of working with family law attorneys who have cases of divorce where property has to be sold. And he works with the lawyers to help them through the process, which is often very complicated. So Michael gives them out at conferences that he goes to where the lawyers are. And it's funny because people constantly come up to him and say, "Are you the guy with the cards?" It's really quite fun for him.
I love that. And I love that they're all so customizable. What was the goal, by the way, for nonprofit organizations when they have your playing cards? How do the nonprofits use them?
Well, they often give them out at events and so forth. And the idea is to get people invested and engaged with the brand, whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit. So there'll be QR codes that enable people to make a donation online, learn more about the organization, check out their events and so forth.
So if I'm going to a dinner party, say, and I want to, I mean, being the host of On New Jersey Mornings, I want to go to a dinner party and I want to hand out business cards. Would I still get a card that looks like a business card as opposed to a playing card, only with a QR code from you? Is that how it could work?
Well, we don't actually do business cards per se, just
Okay,
decks of cards. So there are
gotcha.
55 cards in a deck and they come shrink wrapped. So that's what they would get.
So how about like a diner? What about a diner that maybe puts them on the you know how they always do games and stuff for kids and families? Would a Jersey diner have their own diner cards or something, maybe with sponsors on the cards, on the playing cards? Would that be an idea?
Well, since the cards are so customizable, they could do anything they want. Okay, so it's very easy to have any content, any images, any QR codes. But I think the mainstream users of this are more like a little bit bigger than diners. Uh, a chain of restaurants might be more applicable. Um, but there are a couple of health examples I think are very important to talk about. One is the Union County Ortho Group. This is a three-office orthopedics, and they're developing a deck with us that is actually two games in one. On one side are the 52 playing cards, and the other are a game called Name That Condition. It's a big picture of a condition like tennis elbow or Achilles tendon, and they try and guess what it is. They scan the QR code below it, and they're taken to the web page where that condition is identified and discussed. So it's a great way of connecting the low-tech cards with the high-tech link to get online and learn more. There's the other
And
health.
go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. The other health-oriented one is Alzheimer's New Jersey. This is a very special one because my mother-in-law, may she rest in peace, had Alzheimer's. And what we learned was that people that have dementia respond to pictures from decades ago, like Charlie Chaplin or the First Man on the Moon, rotary phones, and so forth, even though they can't remember what happened 5 or 10 minutes ago. So Alzheimer's New Jersey is going to be using these cards with their caregivers to stimulate conversations and trigger memories with their Alzheimer's patients.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have a dad with dementia who's 95, and I watch it every day. And this sounds like a great thing for him to work with. I love this whole concept. And what's amazing is in this world of digital, digital phones, digital everything, playing cards are still something that people love, right? It's a thing that I mean I see young people with playing cards in a lot of places. You go to some of the parks, Washington Square Park, you'll see them still using playing cards at the tables in Manhattan. So it's a fascinating thing. So you tapped in on something that, maybe they weren't as much into board games as they were 20 years ago, but playing cards, that seems to certainly still be something people are interested in. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, the popularity has always been there for thousands of years. It got more and more popular during COVID when people were stuck inside. But the trend has continued because, as I said at the outset, playing cards is just a lot of fun. My wife and I play poker a couple times a month with our friends, and it's just nonstop laughter for 4 or 5 hours. So they're fun, they're engaging, and these cards, they're so beautiful some of the examples that you've seen, that they've never seen anything like it. So they get to have a good time playing them.
Irv, we got about 10 seconds left. We just want to make sure we get your website so people can get more information or order the cards. How can they get in touch with you? What's your website?
It's infoquick.net, infoquick.net. And you'll see examples there from Tito's Vodka and Clyde Frazier and other clients of ours.
Beautiful. Irv Brechner, creator of custom promotional playing cards. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta says a mix of sun and clouds today, then clouds bill later, highs about 80. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Monday, September 29th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a good day.